Alhamdulillah. People want to see you. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. Salatu wassalamu ala Rasulillah. Wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. Amma ba'd. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh. Last class, or last lesson that we did from Hadith Seerah Nawawi, the author, rahimahullah, was speaking regarding the akhlaq of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, his moral description, his sifa, which is khuluqiyya. After we mentioned and explained his sifa khalqiyya, his physical description, how tall he was, how short he was, how thin he was, how broad he was, how light he was, how dark he was, his physical description. And the most important aspect is the moral description. How he was as a person, as a human being, as a father, as a leader, as a general, as a spiritual guide, as a friend. Okay? What was his akhlaq? What was his character? Nawawi rahimahullah ta'ala, he mentioned, إذا انتهكت حرمات الله عز وجل فحينئذ يغضب ولا يقوم لغضبه شيء حتى ينتصر للحق. With regards to, did the Prophet ﷺ become angry? Did he even get angry? And if he did get angry, why? And when he became angry, how long was he angry for? And what did he do when he was angry? What did he do when he was angry? Extremely important thing that each and every one of us needs, starting with myself. And that is, following the sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ is manifested in many things. And one of the things that it should be manifested in is his control of anger. Number one, not getting angry over every single small, simple thing. Number two, being selective when you choose in which to get angry. Number three, what do you do when you become angry? For the sake of Allah. And how long does it last? And is it sincere for Allah or for other than Allah? Anger that is lacking any type of prejudice or bias. This is a violation of Allah's rules. Friend, foe, close, far. Poor, rich, doesn't matter. Allah's rules have been violated, I'm angry. Most of us, and Allah knows best, through social media outlets, and when we talk about dawah and things like this, we play the game and we put on a show, a charade, and a masquerade like we're getting angry for Allah. But in actuality, it's nothing but anger for one's personal self, or for your clique, or the people that you're friends with and cool with. But in actuality, if you wanted to get angry about something that was a violation of Allah's laws, there's thousands of things. You can cut on the television. You can open up Time magazine, National Geographic. You can look at your news feed on your phone and become angry for Allah's laws being violated. But you choose to selectively say, I'm being angry for Allah, I hate this person for Allah's sake. It's not true. Because if you hated for someone for Allah's sake, you would hate anyone that's against Allah and His Messenger. لا تجد قوما يؤمنون بالله. Allah says you won't find the people who believe in Allah on the last day. يوادون من حاد الله ورسوله. Who show love and affection to those who oppose Allah and His Messenger. Kufr, shirk, bid'ah, sin, nifaq. There's no discrimination. This person has manifested mukhalafa to Allah and His Messenger. I hate him for Allah's sake. This one is a fasiq. This one is a kafir. This one is a mushrik. This one is an innovator. And the list goes on. You just don't pick and select what you want to get angry over for Allah's sake. Because any violation of Allah's rights and Allah's laws is a violation, period. Period. So some of the ulama of Islam, they say that there's no such thing as small sins or minor sins in Islam. And all sins are major, and that is not looking at the sin itself, but looking at the one whom you disobeyed. And of course we know what they mean by this is not something that's actually literal. There are major sins and minor sins. There's no doubt about that. But they're looking at from a deeper perspective. Is that there's no discrimination between a small sin or a big sin. It is the right of Allah that you've violated. You've broken the laws. So we have to sit down and check ourselves. Who do we become angry for, realistically? Why are we angry? And are we discriminative in our anger? Because any violation of Allah's laws is a violation of His laws, period. So Nawawi rahimahullah ta'ala, he said about the Prophet ﷺ's character, his moral description, is that he never became angry for personal reasons. He never became angry and upset. He never became impulsive for personal reasons. If someone disrespected him or whatever, he never got angry over those things. To his wife, to his friend, to someone who was serving him. And he only became angry when Allah's rights were violated, when the Sharia was violated. Then he would become angry for that sake, for that cause. Okay? And when he took or struck, when he made a position of anger, it was only for that. Tayyib, moving forward. He says, وَكَانَ خُلُقُهُ الْقُرْآنِ وَكَانَ أَكْثَرُ النَّاسِ تَوَاضُعًا يَقْضِي حَاجَةَ أَهْلِهِ وَيَخْفِضُ جَنَاحَهُ ويخفض جناحه للضعفاء وما سئل شيئا قط فقال لا وكان أحلم الناس وكان أشد حياء من العذراء في خدرها والقريب والبعيد والقوي والضعيف عنده في الحق سواء. The Prophet ﷺ's character was the Quran. That's how he behaved. Whatever Allah said in the Quran, that's what he did. And he was the most humble of people. He was never boastful and prideful. He was never pompous. He was never full of himself. He never scorned or looked down upon others. And he looked after his wife, his household. يَقْضِي حَاجَةَ أَهْلِهِ. Whatever they needed from him, he would do it. Whatever his wives needed from him, he would try his best to do. وَيَخْفِضُ جَنَاحَهُ لِلضَّعَفَاءِ. And he would lower his wing for the weak people. Not the strong people, the noble people, the aristocrats, the handsome people like we do. You give dawah to a woman because she's beautiful. You give dawah to a pretty woman. But a woman that's not that pretty, you don't give her dawah. You don't call her to la ilaha illallah. You only think about the woman that's pretty and good looking. Or we only give dawah to celebrities. We only give dawah to people who are of status. عَبَسَ وَتَوَلَّى أَنْ جَاءَهُ الْأَعْمَى وَمَا يُدْرِكَ لَعَلَّهُ يَزَّكَّى. Allah says, he frowned. And he turned away because the blind man came. And he wanted to give dawah to the nobles of Quraysh, the aristocrats, the influential, powerful people. But they weren't trying to hear what he had to say. They weren't interested in the message of the Messenger of Allah. They didn't care what he had to say. But the blind man did. The blind man wanted to accept Islam. The blind man wanted to purify himself. And the Prophet turned away from him to busy himself with calling the nobles, the heads, the chiefs, those who will be influential for others to accept Islam. But Allah Azza wa Jal, he said, no. كَلَّا إِنَّهَا تَذْكِرَةٌ. It's a reminder. So he was censured. So therefore the concept of picking and choosing who we want to serve and who we want to look after, that wasn't what the Prophet ﷺ did. He lowered his wing for the weak people. The people that weren't that special and nice looking and fancy. He served those individuals. He says here, and he was never asked for a thing, and he responded by saying no, never. He would always say yes. He would always do it to the best of his ability. And he had the most tolerance and the most forbearance. Tolerance and forbearance. How many times in a day do you get bent out of shape? You get bent out of shape driving. You get bent out of shape at a red light, at a stop sign. You get bent out of shape someone talking about you, your wife, your children, this person. You get bent out of shape. You become impulsive. You get egotistic. Rough and tough, and you start spitting and growling, you get bent out of shape. How many times? Where is your forbearance and your tolerance? Self-control. That right there is a mission from Fajr to Isha. Don't worry about anything else but controlling your anger. Make that your daily jihad. And I guarantee you'll see how challenging it is. It was the last time that you were cool and calm and collective all day long. Some of us, we spaz out. We have tirades every 5 seconds. We get into an argument, holler, curse. We have to use exclamation marks when we text. This, and that. That wasn't the character of the Prophet ﷺ. We know from the characteristics of the munafiqs, the Prophet ﷺ says, وَإِذَا خَاصَمَ فَجَرًا. And when he argues and debates, he becomes a fajr. He has no problem lying. He has no problem exaggerating. He has no problem stretching the truth. He has no problem hiding evidence. He has no problem doing whatever he can do to win. That's the attribute of the munafiq. And it wasn't the attribute of the Prophet. The Prophet was tolerant, forbearing. He had thick skin. It didn't allow the people to get him bent out of shape unnecessarily. No, he says, وَكَانَ أَشَدَّ حَيَاءً مِنَ الْعَذْرَاءِ فِي خِدْرِهَا. And he was extremely shy. The Prophet was a very shy and bashful man. وَالْقَرِيبُ وَالْبَعِيدُ. The close, the remote. وَالْقَوِيُّ وَالضَّعِيفُ. The strong and the weak. عِنْدَهُ فِي الْحَقِّ سَوَاء. Everyone was equal. Everyone was equal. Our country, the United States, what is the symbol of justice? There's a woman holding the scales, and she's wearing a what? A blindfold. The poor man, the weak man, the rich man, the yellow man, the white man, everyone is sawa, same. And the only thing that's supposed to matter in a court of law is evidence, period. Who your father is, your mother is, your tribe is, what you look like, light skin, dark skin, matters not. Blind justice. The non-Muslims, they chose to make that their symbol. That means something. How many Muslims, Muslim countries, in which they say, who's your father? What tribe are you from? What's your clan? What part of Philly are you from? You from down bottom? You from north? You from South Philly? Who knows you? It's the first question that we ask. You want to get married? Oh yeah? You want to do this? Oh yeah? We don't look like this. Our blindfold is totally in the trash. Muslims overseas, bribery. You want to get something done, a simple paper signed. You go to the office, you speak to the mudir, you say, hey, Sheikh, I need to stand. He says, Wallahi, I can't do it. Wallahi, I can't do it. You go back, you speak to someone, tell them that such and such sent you. You go back to him, I don't know. Gives you the stamp, just like that. But he just told you, Wallahi, that he couldn't stamp the paper. I can't. Wallahi, I couldn't if I wanted to. Oh, I swear by Allah, I can't do it. Tell him I sent you. Oh, come on. Sad. It's a very sad state of the Muslims. And which people that are far away, we treat them a certain way. People that are close, we treat them a different way. People that are high and noble, they get treated away. All of this is against the sunnah of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. None of them were like this. He then says, وَمَا عَابَ طَعَامًا قَطْ إِنْ اشْتَهَاهُ أَكَلَهُ وَإِلَّا تَرَكَهُ وَلَا يَأْكُلُ مُتَّكِيًا وَلَا عَلَى خِوَالٍ وَيَأْكُلُ مَا تَيَسَّرَ وَلَا يَمْتَنِعُ مِنْ مُبَاحٍ مَا وكان يحب الحلوى والعسل ويعجبه الدباء وهو الغيرطين وقال نعم الإدام الخلق وفضل عائشة على النساء كفضل الثريد على سائر الطعام وكان أحب الشاة إليه الذراع وقال أبو هريرة رضي الله عنه خرج رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم من الدنيا ولم يشبع من خبز الشعير يعني للعدم وكان يأتي الشهر والشهران ولا يوقد في بيت من بيوته نار. The Messenger of Allah ﷺ never ever talked bad or spoke down upon food. He never found fault in the food. If he desired the food, he would eat it. And if he didn't want the food, he would leave it alone. Look at the simplicity of the Messenger ﷺ's sunnah. There's no complexity. I don't like chicken. I don't like fish. It's too spicy. You burnt it. It's like a piece of styrofoam. It's dry. No, thank you. Shukran. Jazakallahu khairan. I'll pass. That's it. Instead of poking at it and picking at it with your fork. Were you blind? How long did you cook it for? Why you cook it so long? It's dry. There's no need to talk like that. If you don't like it, say Jazakallahu khairan. Which the person may be offended. You may hurt their feelings, but it's not the same as you picking and poking at it. Is this dead? Is it alive? That wasn't the Prophet's sunnah. Another very interesting issue is, what's meant by aibul ta'am? Finding fault in the food. What's meant by that? What's meant by finding fault in the food? If you say the food is too salty, is that finding fault in the food? The food is too spicy. The food is too bland. It's too dry. What's meant by that? Or talking about the food and the nature of the food. Oh man, chicken again? Really? Chicken again? We had chicken yesterday. We had chicken before. What's meant by aibul ta'am? And if someone asks you, how is the food? Are you allowed to lie to them and say it's good, it's delicious? Or do you tell them, no, I think it's burnt. I think you overcooked it. This spaghetti, my favorite dish, the dish that I love, but it's, it's not really that good. What's meant by that aibul ta'am? Many people have a misconception on aibul ta'am. No, he says he never ever did that. If he liked it, he ate it. And if he didn't like it, he left it alone. The Prophet ﷺ, he never ate muttaki'an. Al-ittika has two interpretations. The first interpretation is that the Prophet never sat back and he ate. He never reclined. He wouldn't eat sitting back and reclining. And other scholars have said that hadith means mutarabbi'an. He didn't eat with his legs crossed like that. He wouldn't sit like that. Rather, he would sit in a different manner which would prevent him from eating too much. Okay? So the concept of the Prophet ﷺ not eating in a certain way, it doesn't mean that it's haram. But if a person left off that manner or that style of eating to imitate the Messenger of Allah, he would get a reward. So the Messenger of Allah, certain ways he would not eat. And there are wisdoms behind that. The Prophet ﷺ, he also says, and he never ate upon a khiwan. And a khiwan is basically a mini table. A mini table. The Prophet never ate upon a table. He would prefer to eat upon something that was low, on the floor. It does not mean that it's haram to eat upon a table. It does not mean that it's disliked to eat upon a table. And it doesn't mean that it is from the ways of the Jews and the Christians 100% that you can't, to shabbah bihim. But the Prophet never did it. The Prophet was humble. He was humble and he liked simple, basic, humble things. So if you have a table in your house, it's not necessarily haram, but I would advise to mix it up. Sometimes you eat on the table, sometimes you sit on the floor. Mix it up. And there are many benefits in eating on the floor, many benefits. Right, moving forward. It says, وَيَأْكُلُ مَا تَيَسَّرَ. The Prophet ate whatever was there, whatever he had. If he had meat, he ate meat. If he had dates, he had dates. If there was milk, barley, he ate whatever was available. Very important part of life is that you don't have to go out of your way and make a hardship. If Allah blesses you to eat something fine and delicious, alhamdulillah. That's what you have. That's easy. Allah made it easy for you. And many people, they say, well, I don't eat this food, I don't want to drink this because of this hadith and because of that hadith. Listen, ya akhi, don't worry. Hard times will come. Hard times will come. Or don't worry, son. I've been through so many hardships and difficulties. I've done it for you. You enjoy this, the smooth part of life. I paid your dues for you. Times in which I didn't have food. Times in which I went to sleep wearing a down coat because the heat was off. Times in which I took a bird bath because there was no hot running water. Times in which you had bread and beans or yogurt and bread for dinner. You eat the meat. You eat the lamb chops. Alhamdulillah for that. Allah's blessing comes to you, then you take Allah's blessing. And there are going to be plenty of times in which there will be difficulties. Everyone is going to be tested. Everyone. At one point or another in this dunya, Allah is going to test someone by taking something away from them. So let the good times roll, as we say. So there's tremendous wisdom in this. The Prophet ate what was tayassar, what was easy. If red meat was easy, that's what he ate. And if it wasn't easy to eat red meat, he wouldn't go out of his way to get it. He would eat whatever was in front of him, whatever was presented to him. And obviously we're talking about food, we're talking about seerah, but this is a deeper principle of life. Take what's easy. With regards to getting married, finding a sister. Allah brought the sister to you. Sure, she could be like this, or she's not like this, or I want one that's better, or I want, but that's not easy. And the proof that it's not easy is that it's not there in front of you. And the moment you go out of your way, you make an attempt to get it, it becomes further out of reach. Take what's in front of you. And the same applies to a brother, your husband. Look at the good in your husband. Don't look at the bad in your husband. Take what's tayassar, what's simple, the akhlaq of your husband that are right in front of you. He has this fault, he has this mistake, I wish he would do this better, but look at all the good that I have, that Allah has made it easy for me. So this, if you have this philosophy in life, quote unquote philosophy, it will make your life so easier, so simple. To just be easy, be simple, be cool. Don't go out of your way, don't make a hardship for yourself unnecessarily. And there is no doubt that Allah wanted us to learn this from the Prophet. Allah wanted us to learn this from his eating manner and apply it to other aspects of life. No, he says, وَلَا يَمْتَنِعُ مِنْ مُبَاحٍ مَا. Anything which was lawful, the Prophet, he would never reject. He would never refuse from eating or taking something which was lawful. There are no strings attached. There's nothing haram about it, nothing disliked about it. He would take it. And that's another very important life principle. Do you know more than Allah? Are you more pious than the Messenger of Allah? Oh, I don't want to do that because of such and such. And I don't want to do this because I might fall into this. We have to be careful when we read certain narrations of many of the people of the past. This person wouldn't eat. This person wouldn't sleep on the bed. This person would stand up until he fell out. This person would fast until his tongue was black and green. The Prophet never did that. The Prophet never rejected fresh things. He never rejected good things. The Prophet never rejected simple things, as long as it was mubah. So when we talk about zuhd, and we talk about al-wara', there's a balance. And when you read the athar, you'll find many positions of many of the people of the past, which is against this. Imam Ahmad wouldn't allow his sons to eat this. This Imam would say, you can't bring this into my house. Imam Ahmad said yes. This tabi'i said it, this sahabi said it, but the Prophet ﷺ ate fresh fruit. And he never ever said, don't bring the fresh fruit. The Prophet ﷺ allowed this perfume. The Prophet ﷺ allowed this gift to be given to him. So that's the sunnah. The sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ is crystal clear. He says, and the Prophet used to like al-halwa, a type of sweet, a sweet type of thing. Something sweet to eat. The Prophet, he liked sweet things. And he also enjoyed honey. What could be sweeter than honey? What could be more luxurious and extravagant than what? Honey. The moment the honey hits your tongue, your whole mouth is in joy from the sweetness of the honey, the benefit of the honey. And the Prophet, he ate the honey. And he was fond of honey. And he also used to like al-dubba. He liked squash. He liked zucchini. It was one of his favorite things to eat. This type of vegetable, which is actually a fruit. We call it a vegetable, but it's actually a fruit. Dubba is a fruit. Tell you, he used to like squash and zucchini. He also said, ni'man idamul khal. He said, vinegar is an excellent sauce. Vinegar is an excellent sauce, meaning the Prophet allowed us and encouraged us to have certain things as sauce or a dressing. You don't just have to have a salad with lettuce and tomato or cucumber. There's nothing wrong with a dressing. There's nothing wrong with some sauce. If you want some sauce on your food, that's fine. And the Prophet also said, the virtue that Aisha has over the rest of the women, the virtue of Aisha over the rest of the women is like the virtue of meat and bread over the rest of the food. Meaning meat, bread, and sauce is a good meal to have. So there's nothing wrong with having what? Meat and sauce, meat and bread. Whether it's a steak, whether it's a cheesesteak, whatever is your cultural dish that involves that, it's not haram to eat. And it's not disliked to have. The Prophet ﷺ was fond of lamb, mutton. And he liked the shanks. He enjoyed the shanks very much so. Abu Hurairah radiallahu anhu said that when the Messenger of Allah ﷺ left this world, when he left this dunya, he never became full from khubz al-sha'ir. We have different types of bread, right? Whole wheat bread, you have white flour, you have grain, and you have barley. It's not the finest type of bread. It's not the softest, tastiest type of bread. It's a low type of quality. And the Prophet said when he left this world, he never ate to his full from that type of bread. No, he says about this, minat lil adam, because he didn't have it. Not that he would reject the fine bread or the good bread, but he only ate what was what? In front of him. Everyone understand this? Moving forward, he then says, and months would go, months would come, months would pass by, and there was never a fire in the household of the Prophet ﷺ. There was no fire. If you have no fire in your house, you're not eating soup, let alone something roasted, something grilled, something that is broiled or baked. You're eating something which is cold. You understand this? Dates, water, stuff like this. Imagine that if you didn't cook for an entire month. Try it out. Just think about it. You go all day without eating no food cooked. Whether you have a hoagie or a cold sandwich or a salad, even if someone else cooked it. But for you, 24 hours, don't cut on the stove. No tea, nothing. No coffee, nothing. Then try the second day and the third day and the fourth day. You'll be shocked how hard and how difficult it is to have no fire in your house. Also, no hot water. No hot water. There's no fire in your household for an entire month. Try it out. You'll be shocked how ungrateful you are and how forgetful you are of Allah's blessings to have running hot water. Do we realize this, that in the past, kings, emperors, noble courtiers, they were the ones who washed up daily. They were the ones who had a hot bath, a shower that was hot, abundant water. And nowadays, alhamdulillah, we cut on the faucet and we take a 20-minute shower. We scrub, rub-a-dub-dub, singing in the shower. Use soap and body wash and this, that. You scrub yourself. In the past, that was something that was made for a king. Rich people had the luxury of sitting in a cauldron with steaming hot water and soap and scrubbing to clean themselves. So many luxuries that we have today that weren't available for the people in the past. So we have to be mindful of these blessings. وَكَانَ يَأْكُلُ الْهَدِيَّةِ وَلَا يَأْكُلُ الصَّدَقَةِ وَيُكَافِئُ عَلَى الْهَدِيَّةِ وَيَخْصِفُ النَّعْلِ وَيُرَقِّعُ الثَّوْبِ وَيَعُودُ الْمَرِيضِ وَيُجِيبُ مَنْ دَعَاهُ مِنْ غَنِيٍّ وَفَقِيرٍ وَدَنِيٍّ وَشَرِيفٍ وَلَا يَحْقِرُ أَحَدًا. The Messenger of Allah ﷺ would eat from gifts. Someone gave him a gift, he would not refuse it. He was not above and beyond taking a gift and eating from it. But he refused to eat from charity, sadaqah. He could not eat from sadaqah, and Ahlul Bayt, they were not allowed to eat from sadaqah. But a gift was okay. The Prophet ﷺ used to stitch his sandals. He would sew his thobes. He would visit the sick. He would respond to anyone who invited him, rich or poor, high or low. And he never looked down upon anyone. He never looked down upon anyone. Just stop and think about these words, brothers and sisters. Those who say that the Prophet ﷺ was a fake prophet, and he was a man who sought power. He was a man who sought control. He was a womanizer. He was a man who just used religion for his own personal gains. Okay, no problem. What information do you have about this man named Muhammad? What type of food did he eat? What type of women did he marry? What type of clothes did he wear? What type of animal did he ride upon? How did he walk? Does a rich, luxurious person sew his own sandals, stitch his own leather sandals? Do you stitch a hole or rip in your clothes? Would a moth go by in a rich person's house in which there's no fire? But they'll say, oh, that's made up. Those are lies. That's the Muslims' version. That's the Muslims' propaganda. Okay, maybe it is. What information do you have, though? What chains of narration do you have? Tfaddal, please show us. Give us your report, the documentation of Muhammad's life. If you don't have anything that can debunk what we're saying, wouldn't it make sense to just take what we have? Doesn't that make sense? Let alone the fact that the Quran is full of ayat in which Allah Azza wa Jalla speaks to the Prophet and corrects the Prophet and reprimands the Prophet. Like Surah Abasa, we just mentioned. If the messenger made up the Quran and brought it himself, why would he leave that in the Quran? He frowned and turned away. Anyone with any common sense, let alone a mastermind, to make this beautiful, eloquent book, he's going to leave that in there? He frowned and he turned away. وَمَا يُدَرِيكَ, Allah says. What will make you understand that the blind man wanted the guidance and they didn't? It's not going to leave that in there. And in other ayat in which Allah reprimands the Prophet ﷺ with regards to this stepson or this marriage. Many verses. Allah reprimands the Prophet for things that he did. And he instructs the Prophet and he teaches the Prophet. And it's recited in the Quran up to this what? Up to this day. So that's not making too much sense now. So someone who's a womanizer, why was the Prophet ﷺ, why were his wives widows and older women? If the Messenger of Allah ﷺ, according to what you wish to say, was a man who took advantage of young women, and he lusted and desired after young women, okay, why was only one of his wives at that young age? Sauda, Khadija, Maymuna, Salama, Zainab. Who from among them was of that age? You're not making sense now. Your argument that's supposed to be academic and that's supposed to be accurate is clearly flawed. Clearly flawed. So a person, he gets yaqeen in his da'wah by studying the Prophet's life. And the life of the Prophet is only taken and only studied through his hadiths. And this is a proof that hadith is the foundation of everything. And the stronger you are in hadith, the better you are at da'wah. Because your argument is based off of and is supported by facts, evidence. Tell me about your prophet. Tell me about your guru. The one that we have to follow. Tell me about him. Give me information about him. And this is a tactic that I would advise you to use. Most people who claim a person that they follow, that they love, 9 out of 10 of them can't describe the person. Let's get even deeper now. A Muslim, you follow this sheikh. Tell you, what does Sheikh Fulan look like? Fuck him. Tell me what he looks like. Have you ever seen him? You ever sat next to him? What's his favorite meal? Give me a description about his life. And you're so obsessed with him. Tell me one thing about his personal life that you know. This is an extremely important question here. And this is also used against those who call themselves Christians. And they talk about Christ. So tell us about Christ. And we believe in Isa. It's not a problem. It's not an issue. But I'm trying to prove a point that your way is faulty. What color was Jesus? Was he white or black? Did he have straight, fine hair or curly, woolly hair? Where is it documented in your scriptures, in your books? Where is the chain of narration that talks about Isa in detail? Because I can give you everything about the Prophet, even the stuff that you consider to be bad. That he married a woman of this age. and he supposedly committed genocide against these Jews in Arabia. I have the evidence. I have everything for and against him. What can you provide me with regards to Christ, or this guru, or this prophet, or this one that you claim to believe in and follow? Tell me about him. They can't give you anything. So something is wrong if you're obsessed with a person, following a person, believing in a person, worshiping a person, and you don't know too much about them. So this is one of the fawaid, one of the benefits of the seerah. One of the benefits of ilm al-hadith with regards to dawah is that we have detailed description of what we do, why we do it, how we do it. Can you say the same about yourself? Can you prove that? You can't. So studying the seerah is not going to bring anything bid'nillahi ta'ala but light upon your heart, upon your mind, and inshallah ta'ala is going to give you sharp words when you give da'wah. Because you know what, how, when, and why, what the proofs and what the evidence is. And Nawawi rahimahullah ta'ala even says, وَكَانَ يَقُدُ تَارَةً عَلَى الْقُرْفُصَى وَتَارَةً مُتَرَبِّعًا وَتَكَى فِي أَوْقَاتٍ وفي كثير من الأوقات أو في أكثرها محتبيا بيديه وكان يأكل بأصابعه الثلاث ويلعقهن ويتنافس في الشراب بالإناء ثلاثا خارج الإناء ويتكلم بجوامع الكلم ويعيد الكلمة ثلاثا لتفهم وكلامه بين يفهمه من سمع ولا يتكلم من غير حاجة ولا يقعد ولا يقوم إلا على ذكر الله تعالى وركب الفرس والبعير والحمار والبغل وأردف معاذا خلفه على ناقة وعلى حمار ولا يدع أحدا يمشي خلفه. He then says, and the Prophet ﷺ, he had different ways and styles of sitting. Different ways and styles of sitting down. Allahu Akbar. I know how my Prophet sat down. What can you tell me about yours? What can you tell me about your leader? You don't know what color he was, let alone how he what? How he sat. Sometimes the Prophet crossed his legs. Sometimes his legs were in front. Sometimes he sat. Sometimes he reclined, etc. He sat in different manners. And the Messenger of Allah, والسلام, he would eat with his 3 fingers, and he would lick them. He would lick his fingers. And whenever he drank something, he would take 3 breaths outside of the cup or the gauntlet or the vessel. And whenever he spoke with comprehensive words. He didn't have as what we call weasel words, small, fragmented words. His words were solid. His words were concrete. His words were powerful and they were meaningful. Powerful and meaningful. He didn't have to say a lot, but when he spoke, it meant something. He didn't have to keep running on and on and on. His words were jawami'. One sentence meant a paragraph. One paragraph was a chapter. One chapter could be explained and expounded upon in a book. That's how the Prophet ﷺ spoke. And whenever he spoke, he says, sometimes he would repeat himself. And he would say something 3 times for the people to get the clear message. The clear message. His words were plain, simple. Anyone who heard him understood what he meant and understood what he said. There was no ambiguity in his speech. And he never spoke unless there was a need. He did not talk unless there was a need. How much happier would our lives be if we implemented this? Talking unnecessarily. Only speaking when we have to speak. Instead of giving a sentence, give 1 word. And the same applies even to a street level. A street level, you don't have to holler and scream and make a bunch of threats. Would you say to the brother, where you at? No, but I'm saying I was advised. I get that. Jazakallah khairan. Just tell me where you at. It's nothing, it's no long conversation that's needed. I'm coming to you, you don't have to come to me, no Uber. Just tell me where you at. And everything that you can say, you can what? Face to face. No, just tell me where you at. Real tough guys, they don't holler and scream and pound walls and punch holes in walls. That's what cowards do. They don't have to make threats, they make promises. You've been warned, khalas. There's nothing to say. The words are solid. Powerful speakers. They don't have to talk for 45 minutes. They have to talk for half an hour. It's khutbah, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes. It's done. You're sold. Because his words are solid. His words are concrete. His words are not small and fragmented. That's the sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ. Not to speak unnecessarily, to talk too much, to say too much. There's nothing that's needed to be said besides this. That's the bottom line. Yes, no, inshallah, and that's it. Khalas. And Nawawi rahimahullah ta'ala even says, and whenever the Messenger of Allah stood up, and whenever he sat down, it was always upon the dhikr of Allah. He always mentioned Allah's name, getting up and sitting down, lying down, etc. The Prophet ﷺ rode horses, he rode camels, he rode donkeys, and he rode mules. And sometimes it was someone on the back of the animal with him, such as Mu'adh radiallahu ta'ala anhu. And the Prophet ﷺ never allowed anyone to walk behind him. He never allowed people to just tag along and follow him, walking directly behind him. You can walk on the side of me, you can talk to me, whatever, you have a question, but there's no need for me to put myself in a position of, yeah, you're my servant. It wasn't how the Prophet ﷺ was. Listen to these words. The Prophet did not like tag-alongs and lackeys. And there's some of us, we love tag-alongs and we love lackeys. If you're my student, my disciple, my son, my daughter, you can talk to me. Even though I'm above you, I'm older than you, I'm your teacher. But it doesn't mean it's a servant and master relationship in which you're a total flunky, a total lackey. As we say, you just Joe. You just smile and shake your hand and just servant. La 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 la. And whenever you see that from anyone, in most cases, know for sure there's something wrong with that person. In which they're fond and they're pleased with someone just always walking behind them. Yes, 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 yes. And they're surrounded by yes men. They're surrounded by people who never ever disagree with them. And it doesn't mean that they have to be disrespectful. And it doesn't mean that you disagree with your teacher or your older brother in public. It doesn't mean that. It doesn't mean that you disagree with your husband in public. But you're a yes man. Every single thing is yes, yes, yes. And you're always right. Just think about this now. In which, in order for you to contact me, you got to go through 5 or 6 or 7 different people. You can't talk to me. You can't sit to me. Brother Fulan's, you know, I'm speaking on his behalf. Let Brother Fulan talk. Why are you calling me? And wallahi, it's not an exaggeration. I've had brothers call me before. Literally. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Wa alaikum salam. This is such and such. What's going on? Such and such. Okay, you start talking 5 minutes. Then 5 minutes later, another person tags himself in. Ah, yeah, I was on the line too. Then another 10 minutes, a third brother comes in. Wallahi. Then 30 minutes later, Brother Fulan says, ah, Jazakallah khairan, I was listening the whole time. What is going on? And which a person has to have someone to introduce them to have a basic phone conversation. Something's wrong. And anytime you surround yourself around yes men is a reflection of you and your insecurities and what you lack. And you can't bear the thought of someone having any brain power in your circle. There's a wise man, he once said, if everyone in the room is thinking the same, someone in the room isn't thinking. If every single person in the room is thinking the exact same thing, we all agree 100%. There's no type of variation. We can make ijma', that's not a problem. The shura. Me and Abu Sajid, we agree. But said, no, I think Mufti, you should do it like this. Or Abu Sajid, no, do it like that. But we agree on the idea of the conference. But it's everyone in the room shaking their heads, bobbling their heads. This wise man, he says, someone in the room didn't actually what? Cut on his brain. And he just went along with the flow. And he just shook his head and bobbled his head along with the next person. Just think about this now. Are these the people that you have in your circle? You have knowledgeable people around you? People who dare and have the audacity to say, with all due respect, I differ with you on this issue. With all due respect. Or do you have people that just say, yes, nah, I'm shit, all day, every day? It means something. So from that, he says, or no, he says about the Prophet, he never allowed people to walk behind him unnecessarily, in which you just a tag along. I know that I'm older than you. With all humbleness and humility, everybody knows I'm more knowledgeable than you. But come, walk to me, talk to me. You got a question? Fadl, I'm listening to you, akhi. You don't take 10 paces behind me. And then when we stop, then you can ask me the question. Something's wrong. And oftentimes people who accuse people of being egotistical and accuse people of being pride or proudful and pride or proud, accuse people of being arrogant and conceited, they are the worst. And that's one of the oldest tricks in the book. And that is the deflective strategy. Is that I'm so full of myself, I now have to accuse you of being full of yourself. That way you're not thinking about how high up I am on the throne. He said, I don't walk, I get carried. Poet, he said this. You understand this? So we have to be mindful of this with regards to humility, with regards to humbleness. No, we don't know what he then says, وَعَصَبَ عَلَى بَطْنِهِ الْحَجَرِ مِنَ الْجُوعِ وَكَانَ يَبِيتُ هُوَ وَأَهْلُهُ اللَّيَالِي طَاوِينَ وَفِرَاشُهُ مِنْ أَدَمٍ حشو من ليف وكان متقللا من أمتعة الدنيا كلها وقد أعطاه الله تعالى مفاتيح خزائن الأرض كلها فبأن يأخذها واختار الآخرة عليها. He says that the Messenger of Allah sometimes he would tie stones around his midsection because he was so hungry. Take a string, rope, put the stones and tie it around his midsection to prevent himself from feeling the pains of hunger. And how he would sleep, what his bed was made of. It wasn't an extravagant mattress, wasn't a throne that he slept upon. A simple basic bed with basic stuffing. And he reduced and he was minimalist, as they say, of the worldly things. He didn't have too many worldly possessions. We have a frenzy now, right? And the craze now. You go on YouTube, right? They have those different hotels in Japan and Tokyo, and which is a bubble, right? A capsule type of hotel. No bathroom, no shower. It's nothing but a simple mattress and a TV screen. That's it. There's no desk, it's nothing. You ever seen this on YouTube? Or you see the people that live in very thin houses, thin homes. Or people who have no libraries, everything is virtual. They have a few small, basic possessions. It's a craze that the people are doing now. You ever seen it? You guys never seen it before? You never seen it? Go on YouTube. If many people say I'm a minimalist, right? I reduce my worldly needs. Some are not Muslims, in which the house in which you live is totally extravagant. We're talking about non-Muslims. And it doesn't have to be for a religious purpose, but they believe it's just wasteful and it's unnecessary. You don't need this big gigantic house. Rather, you go to Europe. How small were the rooms there in the UK? It's tiny. Hotels are like sardines. Sardine can. A basic 3-star hotel in America is going to be bigger than the average room there. The food, the portions, and the list goes on. They had other hotels there. They were nice hotels. Don't get it twisted. There are plenty of nice hotels, big hotels. But even the bigger ones, things, just the mindset is what? It's different. The United States is a huge country versus Great Britain. Thousands and millions of people, inhabitants. So just think about the concept of the non-Muslims today. They have this concept of excess is bad. Too much is bad. It's a distraction from actually achieving your goals and obtaining things that you're out to obtain. The Prophet he establishes what? Over 1,400 years ago. It's not haram to have this. It may not be disliked, but it's unnecessary. You don't need it. It's just too many possessions that you have. And many of us, we have this syndrome, the syndrome of pack rats, in which we just pack stuff and stuff into our cars, our houses, our homes. There's so much junk. When's the last time you read one of those books? When's the last time you wore one of those shirts? When's the last time you used one of those pots? When's the last time you wore that pair of high-heel shoes or that overgarment? If you stop and think about how much stuff you have in your house, it's a ton of stuff. And in most cases, you're not even using it and utilizing it. So that's something to be what? To be mindful of. Allah surely knows best. The Prophet, he wasn't like this. Mutaqallilan. He only took a little bit from the worldly possessions. Not saying that it's what? Haram. Not saying that it's haram. Or even disliked. But just think about what excess leads you to. So inshallah ta'ala, we'll stop here tonight with regards to the seerah. Bidnillahi ta'ala, and leave some time for some questions. Perhaps we'll take some questions. And Allah, the Mighty, the Most High, surely knows best. We ask Him to forgive us of our sins and have mercy upon our souls. We ask Allah to allow us to imitate the Prophet ﷺ in all aspects of imitation, and to make us husbands like the Prophet was a husband, to make us wives like the Prophet's wives were wives, to make us teachers like the Prophet was a teacher, students like the Prophet was a student, leaders like the Prophet ﷺ was a leader, community members, neighbors, at peace, at war, friend and foe. We ask Allah to place us upon the Sunnah and to keep us thereupon, and to realize the tremendous responsibility it is to say on the Sunnah, being on the Sunnah and letting the Sunnah go forth and not stopping it. It's a responsibility, and the foundation of that responsibility is knowledge. Al-ilmu qabla al-qawli wal-amal. Knowledge precedes speech and action. That's the Sunnah, is based off of ilm. The more of the process in the Sunnah we know of, the more we implement, the better Muslims we will become and remain, and Allah surely knows best.